Leonardo da Vinci is remembered as one of the greatest minds in history. Yet no one talks about how painfully his story ended. Today, we uncover 5 reasons why his death was far more tragic than people realize. Reason number 5. By 1517, da Vinci was about 65 years old, a very old age for that time. He left Italy forever and moved to France after the king invited him. Francis I treated him like a close friend. Leonardo was given a comfortable house, servants, and a pension. But his health was already getting worse. Leonardo had worked long hours for many years. This was hard on his body and mind. In his notes, he wrote about feeling very tired. He wrote about pain in his arm. One day, he noticed sudden numbness in his right arm. He felt brief dizziness. Things blurred. One side of his mouth drooped. Experts now believe he likely had a mild stroke, and its consequences were especially devastating for a painter. His right hand started to lose strength, then control, and eventually became paralyzed. Around that time, Leonardo's tone changes. He begins writing lines like, "While I thought I was learning how to live, I've been learning how to die." Once the stroke occurred, Leonardo could no longer use his right hand. He could no longer paint. This was devastating to him emotionally. But this was far from over, because what happened next made everything so much worse. Reason number 4. Leonardo still spoke with great spirit and intelligence. He could not paint anymore, but could still teach, design, and discuss art, anatomy, and philosophy. This shows his mind still remained sharp, but his body started to fail him even more. He continued to teach, to design, to organize the mountain of notebooks that would one day reveal his genius. But something had changed. The tireless worker who once dissected bodies by candlelight now had to rest often. By 1518, fatigue had become his constant companion. He spoke of weakness and lack of energy, words that carried both frustration and fear. What was happening to him? It wasn't simply old age. At 67, Leonardo's decline followed a clear pattern, one that today points to a slow, progressive, vascular disease. The paralysis in his hand wasn't an isolated stroke, but part of something larger. His blood vessels were likely hardening and clogging, cutting off circulation bit by bit. This would have caused dizziness, fainting spells, and the trembling weakness that made even simple tasks exhausting. And yet, this was only the beginning. Some historians believe Leonardo also suffered from angina, chest pain caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. But there was something deeper still, something even more frightening. Reason number 3. Leonardo probably knew he was dying long before anyone said it out loud. Why? He could see it happening, the same way he once studied the slow decay of bodies in his drawings. He had no doctor to explain it, no word like diagnosis. But he had something better: observation. His own body had become another experiment. He began to write about strange pains. The pain of the sinews. What did that mean? At first glance, it sounds simple: sore muscles, tired hands. But Leonardo's life was a long act of repetition. Decades of holding brushes, chisels, and quills had taken their toll. His tendons and joints were inflamed, swollen, and stiff. Imagine waking up with hands that feel like stone, needing hours just to move freely again. That wasn't laziness or age. That was chronic inflammation, most likely arthritis or tendonitis. But this pain wasn't just in his hands. It ran deeper. Circulation problems, likely from years of sitting bent over his work, made things worse. When blood flow slows, the body swells. His legs and feet would have filled with fluid, making every step feel like walking through fire. Still, the real tragedy wasn't the pain itself. It was what it did to his art. Leonardo's later drawings look different. The lines are looser, the details less sharp. And that brings us to the hardest part of all: Reason number 2. Leonardo da Vinci spent his final years in France under the patronage of King Francis I. On paper, it looked like a dream, a steady pension, servants, and a beautiful chateau at Clou. But what looked like comfort wasn't peace. Because inside, Leonardo was living in exile. He was far from Florence and Milan, the cities that had shaped his entire world. The friends who had once challenged him, artists, scientists, rivals, thinkers, were either gone or dead. Around him now were French attendants and a handful of young assistants who respected him but didn't truly know him. Even the king's visits, often described as warm and admiring, were likely moments of curiosity rather than real companionship. And that quiet loneliness began to show in his writing. His letters grew colder. His notes, once bursting with energy, started to repeat themselves. He jumped between ideas without finishing them. His sentences became fragmented, as if his once razor-sharp focus was slipping away. And that's where the final fracture began. Reason number 1. It's hard to know what Leonardo da Vinci's final moments were really like. The records are few. The stories written later blur truth and legend. But if we look closely at what we do know, his health, his home, and the people around him, we can begin to imagine those last hours. Start here, a quiet bedroom inside the Château du Clos-Lucé in Amboise, France. It's early May, 1519. The air is cool. The windows look out over a small garden where Leonardo once walked to clear his thoughts. He lies in bed, weak and still. Months earlier, a stroke had paralyzed his right side. Now even his left hand, the one he still used to draw, has grown feeble. He can no longer hold a pen, but he is not alone. His student and companion, Francesco Melzi, sits close by. 2 servants move softly around the room, adjusting pillows, offering water. And somewhere nearby, a priest waits, ready to give the last rites. Many later said King Francis I was there too, holding Leonardo's head as he died. It's a beautiful image, but probably not true. That story first appeared years later, written by Giorgio Vasari, who loved to blend fact with poetry. The real scene was quieter, smaller, and more human. But what was Leonardo really like in those final days? He could barely speak. Each word took effort. Swallowing hurt. His breath came shallow, his pulse thin. Signs of heart failure or another stroke. Yet his mind, at least at times, stayed clear. He spoke softly about faith. He shared short reflections on regret and forgiveness. Melzi later said his master showed signs of true repentance and devotion. Still, one question definitely lingered in Leonardo's mind. A thought that haunted him more than pain or weakness. Had he done enough? Near the end, he is said to have whispered, "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." Why would a man like Leonardo, painter of the Last Supper, designer of flying machines, student of anatomy and light, feel that way? The answer is simple: perfection. His standards were higher than anyone's. He saw beauty and truth in ways others couldn't. But what he imagined in his mind, he could never fully bring to life. His work, no matter how brilliant, always felt unfinished to him. Many find it fascinating that Da Vinci may have crossed paths with the future Queen of England, Anne Boleyn, in his final years. Decades later, her own death will be far more brutal and scandalous than his peaceful passing. Click here to uncover the full story.